Hey everyone, John Garrett here, hypertransitory.com. This is another hypertransitory tutorial, this time on Blender. And I've been doing a little bit more 3D these days and getting back into using Blender. And this is going to be a quick one about cutting a hole into your mesh. And I realized I couldn't figure out how to do it with Blender 2.5. And you know, things are changed since 2.49, and those of you making the jump to 2.5 have obviously figured that out. But I was making something, a helmet or something like that, and came time to poke in a few eye holes, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. And if you do a search for cutting a hole in your mesh on Google, you do a search cutting hole in mesh Blender, you're going to come up with Kernan Dillon's video that he did for Blender Newbies. And if you haven't seen Blender Newbies, you got to go over to blendernewbies.com, and Kernan Dillon always has good information there, and I think he's coming out with a Blender Newbies 2.5 DVD. But for now, his tutorial, it shows 2.49, and there comes a point when you can follow it, but there's a point when you have to set all your verts to what's called toSphere, to circle around a certain point, and there's a button there. But as far as I can tell, that button doesn't exist here in 2.5. I couldn't. Where the hell's that button? Well, it's really just there's a key command you can use, and I'll show you that. What I like to do is get rid of this manipulator. I don't really care for that manipulator, so I'm going to turn that off down here. Get rid of that. So what you got to do? So you got this square, and let's say you want to punch a hole in this thing. So in order to do that, you know, you're going to have to move into edit mode. So I'm going to tab into my edit mode. All right. So I want to poke a hole in here. And right now it's not going to be easy because I don't have enough geometry. You know, when I add in lines and add in more points and surfaces, then that's adding more geometry. And there's one way you can do that. You can do what's called a loop cut. Control R is going to get you this. If you use your mouse scroll wheel, you can have a bunch more. That's one way, but you have to go and do that both ways to divide the cube up or divide up your object. So I escaped out of that to get out of that. What I like to do is go over here, and we're going to go to subdivide over in the left hand menu here under the mesh tools. Subdivide. That is going to allow me to just break this up into a bunch of little pieces. First of all, I'm going to press the A key, select all. I'm going to click on subdivide, and you can see that it's made first cut for me, and I've got some options down here that I can use. And right now it's at 1, so I'm going to kick that up. Now I'm making 2 cuts, 3 cuts. I mean, you want enough geometry so you can make your circle, but you don't want to go too far. I'm going to kick this up to 4. So I think I can punch a nice little circle out there. Now what we got to do, I want to move this manipulator over there, move that cursor. What I got to do is I got to get rid of these verts that are in here. So I'm actually in my vertex select mode right now. So I'm going to go ahead and press the B key for box select. And I'm going to select those. And what's happening here is I can do this without selecting the rest of it because I have this down here. So that it's limiting my selection to what I can see. You know, if I turn that off, then I would select everything that's behind there too. But anyway, turn it back on. This is all I've got. I'm going to press the X key and delete those vertices. Now I have a square there, but I want to turn that into a circle. Now how can I do that? What I like to do, I go into my edge select mode, and I'm going to click on one of these. I'm going to option right click on one of these edges here. It's going to select that entire edge ring there. Actually, I can't remember if it's edge ring or edge loop. It's one of those two. I think it's edge ring. Anyway, so I got it all selected. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my my mesh. I'm going to do a snap, and I'm going to snap my cursor to selected. Now that cursor is right in the middle there, and that's what I want. So now here is normally where I would go and click the 2 sphere button. I would just press that button and it would force those verts to align in a sphere around that cursor. But again, I can't find that button. Maybe it's there somewhere, I don't know. But what I did was I did search it out and looked it up in Google, as you might do. Looked it up, and one thing I started to do, I decided I'm going to do this for myself and make it easy, is I went and I'm just going to have a file called Blender Notes. Because I can't remember all the stuff. Sometimes it might be a month before I get back to something, and I can't remember all that stuff. So I'm going to start making this file. That's what we should all do. Just make yourself a file. Have it handy. Whatever you're looking for might be in there. So whenever I come across something now, I'm going to put that in here. And this is the very first thing I put in here. So I'm going to press the Alt, Option on the Mac, Option Shift S to put me into 2 sphere mode. So here we go. I'm going to go Option Shift S. All right, so now I've got a pseudo circle, and if I move my mouse to the right, as I'm doing now, it's getting more and more circular. That's about as far as it's going to get, I see. So, if I move it back, I'm all the way back there. Move it over to the right. All right, circular. Now I'm going to press the left button here and enter that selection. So now that's what I got. Of course, it's not really a perfect circle. I need to really smooth that out. So what you got to do is you're going to want to add your subsurface modifier here in the modifier area over on the right here. So I'm going to go down to modifier, add subsurface. I'm going to leave it right where it is for now, but I mean, you can see that it's really rounding a lot of that out. And so you may want your cube back. If you want your cube to stay sharp and you just want that part to be circular, then you can actually, I'm going to kick this up one more there. So what you can do is do some loop cuts like I showed earlier. Loop cuts kind of control that, helps you get control of that mesh. I'm going to press Control R, and now I've got this cut here. It's not doing anything yet until I press the left button and enter it. So I press the left button. Now I can move that. I'm going to move it all the way back out here. Give me my edges back. So Control R. Let me get that edge back. Control R. And it's just letting me kind of get control over where that subsurface goes to. So another one. All right. So now I pretty much got my edges back. Got my cube back. I'm going to tab into my object mode. So now this is what I got. Not bad. I can also press smooth on this. Let me see what smooth does. Well, that's actually kind of beveling my corners. I might have to do something with that. But depending on what your object is, you see, it's not really bad. I mean, you've got to plan this stuff out, though. Obviously, I've learned recently that if you're going to be doing a lot of extrusion, you're going to want to make those holes beforehand, and get control of that mesh and make sure that the mesh is all, in quads and everything, and you're not screwed up. Because I started making something and extruding and got it all extruded and hey, cool, it's all extruded, but then I needed to make holes, and then you got even more mesh you got to make holes through. So you really want to figure that stuff out beforehand. Whatever holes you're going to make those things before you start your extrusion. Anyway, so this was just a quick one to show you how to cut that hole in there, and still and not have to use Boolean subtractions or anything like that, and do it in 2.5 and get that 2 sphere action going without being able to find the button. If you know where that button is, then let me know. Anyway, aside from that, I hope that helped you guys out. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'm going to keep on blendering here and try to get some of my objects made for a project I've got coming up. So happy blendering, and thanks for watching.